11,000 years ago, someone carved a human face into a standing stone and left it buried in the hills of southern Turkey. In 2025, archaeologists finally pulled it out of the ground, and it forced them to rethink everything about the people who made it. Here's why. The place is called Karahan Tepe. It sits in the dry country of southeastern Turkey, about 35 kilometers from Gobekli Tepe, the site that already rewrote prehistory. And what makes both of them almost impossible to believe is who built them. Not farmers, not kings with armies of workers, hunter-gatherers, people with no crops, no metal, no writing, chasing wild animals across these hills with tools of stone and bone, 11,000 years ago, long before the first city on Earth existed. These people carved entire rooms out of solid bedrock and raised circles of stone pillars cut from the living rock. And for years, one detail nagged at every archaeologist who studied them. The pillars had no faces. Each pillar is shaped like a giant letter T, a tall shaft, and a wide top laid across it like a head resting on shoulders. Bodies standing in the ground. But where a face should be, there was only blank stone, as if the people who made them had left the most important part deliberately empty. And then, in 2025, the ground gave one up. Out of the earth came a standing stone, about 135 centimeters tall, a little over the height of a child. And carved into it was a human face, a prominent nose, deep hollow eyes, a sharp, angular jaw. It stared out of the stone as if it had been waiting for someone to finally look at it. For the first time at Karahan Tepe, archaeologists had found a standing pillar carved with a clear human face. Not an animal, not a symbol, a person, a portrait, left for us across 11,000 years by someone who wanted to show a human being and who had the skill to do it. And it turned a quiet question into an urgent one. Not just how these people built, but who they thought they were and what they believed they were doing, which is the real mystery of Karahan Tepe. We can describe what they built. We are still fighting over why. For years, one idea dominated. Sites like Karahan Tepe and Gobekli Tepe were sacred places, gathering points. Out of the empty landscape, scattered bands of hunter-gatherers would travel to meet, to worship, to feast together around these great rings of stone. And here is the radical part. Some archaeologists argued that the sheer effort of building them is what pushed humanity toward farming in the first place. Think about what it takes to feed hundreds of people who gather to haul and carve stone for weeks at a time. You need a lot of food, in one place, on demand. And why would hunter-gatherers ever take on a project this enormous, unless they believed it truly mattered? That belief, and the hunger it created, may have driven them to start managing wild plants, and eventually to farm. The temple did not come after civilization. The temple created it. The gods came first, and agriculture followed to feed them. It is a beautiful theory, and Karahan Tepe complicates it. Because unlike Gobekli Tepe, Karahan shows signs of ordinary life mixed in with the ritual. Living spaces, everyday debris, the clutter of people not just visiting, but staying. When archaeologists first announced the site, they described something remarkable. Evidence of long-term occupation, going back more than 11,000 years. Not only a temple, but one of the earliest known places on Earth where people were beginning to settle down while still hunting wild game across the hills. Sacred and everyday, temple and town, tangled together at the exact moment human beings were inventing the idea of staying in one place. The birth of the settled world may be hiding in that blur. Now stop and think about everything these people accomplished. No metal, no wheel, no writing, no draft animals. And yet they carved entire rooms out of bedrock. They raised pillars that could never be repaired if they cracked. In one chamber, they set a serpent-headed figure into the wall, its neck stretched out to watch anyone who entered. And now, we know, They could sculpt the human face in stone at a size and with a realism that almost no one on Earth had attempted before. All of it thousands of years before Stonehenge, before the pyramids, before the first written word was ever pressed into clay. And here is the twist that keeps this story from ever being simple. We can describe what they built. We still cannot read why. We do not know their language. We do not know what they called the pillars, or the head in the wall, or the face in the stone. We do not know the name of a single one of them. Karahan Tepe answered one enormous question, that civilization did not begin the way we thought, only to open a deeper one in its place. It proves the story of us starts earlier and stranger than we ever let ourselves imagine, and then it goes quiet. Remember that head watching over the chamber, leaning out of the rock to see who entered? For 11,000 years, it waited in the dark, and now we have come back. We lower ourselves into the room, we shine our lights across the pillars, we meet that carved gaze, and slowly it dawns on us. We are the visitors it was carved to receive. We just arrived 100 centuries late. That is the part the textbooks miss. Karahan Tepe, it was never really about pillars or dates or which site is a few years older than another. It is about the moment we discovered that the people we dismissed as primitive were nothing of the kind. They dreamed in stone. They built to be remembered. And across an almost unimaginable gulf of time, they carved a face and made sure we could never forget that they were here first. The truth is not smaller than the myth. It is far, far larger. Thanks for watching. If you want more real mysteries from the past, the kind with actual answers waiting in the ground, subscribe and stick around.